You are now tuned in to the Windy City Benders podcast. This is WCVP.
All right, welcome to a very big episode. It is our 100th episode.
Yeah, man.
We made it through 100. Centennial. What's up?
Hey, what I do? I don't know. It seems like this is great.
So, as always, we are joined by Tanner. Tanner, what's up, bud?
What's going on, dude? How you doing?
Not bad. And Noli. Noli, what is up, man?
Hi.
There we go.
Okay,
Sounds good.
there we go.
All I got.
Yeah, so it's going to be a fun episode. A little bit of hot stock, a little bit of NHL talk.
Yeah.
And then we have the person that actually kind of inspired us to do our show. I assume that, that's at least for me. I think Noli would agree too. Steve Dangle called in the other day, and so we got to chat with him for a little bit. Very funny guy.
Get to video chat with him for a little bit.
Video chat, blue room and all.
Yeah, we were in the blue room, so be jealous.
Pretty great.
How, as being a big Leaf and Dangle fan, Noli, how was that moment for you, seeing the blue room pop up?
It was very exciting because he popped up and it was just his name, and it was like, "Hey, are we videoing or no?" And Jeremy was just like, "Yeah, it's up to you, man. Like whatever." And he's just like, "Yeah, okay." And it was just blue, and I was like, "Oh."
Yeah, it was pretty crazy to see the room.
I'm so glad.
Yeah, it was so.
The interview's over. It's fine. We're good. Thanks.
Yeah. Oh. So there was a little bit of a connection issue during the interview, but that was so frustrating. But like, it was just like, please fucking work.
Yeah.
Like, this is ridiculous.
I was a little on edge with it, and then he bust out one of his classic like Steve Dangle yell, and I'm just like, oh my god, that was worth it. All right, cool, let's go. So so we'll wrap up the episode with that. So as like Tanner said, there was some connection issues. So if you're watching it on YouTube, we're gonna post a video. We don't get the blue room and not post the video.
True.
So it's gonna be very edited. So
the audio's fine.
Yeah, audio's fine. It
would look a little bit weird.
Yeah. So so let's jump into some Hawks talk.
Nice.
There we go. There's not too much. There's just two things. One little minor thing that I thought was kind of funny. Coach Colleton finally showing some personality on Twitter to his whole 1,000 followers that he had at the time. I don't know what he's got now.
That is the most amazing thing to me because I thought it was a fake Twitter account.
Yeah, so did I.
And then I was like, okay, well, it has pictures of him, and he's really only following some hockey guys. Not even following his own players, but
so he posts
because he sent it to a fake Twitter account too.
Yeah, so he posted a picture of him in a mustache, missing his front tooth, and he goes, what did he say? I think I'm gonna hang of this, or I think it's coming in good, and he tagged the Coach Q's mustache Twitter account.
Yeah,
it was so funny.
I fucking love it.
We posted it from the podcast page onto Reddit, and it didn't get taken down for the first time in a long time. But some of the people on there they were killing me, and they're like, yeah, finally now we got a good coach. They're just the power from the mustache and all that kind of stuff.
It looks so dirty.
Yeah, and he's just one person was like, how sad is it that this guy he's not even verified. He doesn't have 1,000 followers.
Yeah.
He looks like in that picture, he looks like a greasy fourth line, borderline AHL player.
That's what he was.
I know, but he doesn't look like a coach. He still looks like that.
One person asked what happened to his tooth, and they're like, probably when he played, and they were like, he played?
Oh, really? He was the same draft year as Seabrook, wasn't he?
He grew up playing with Siebes.
No, I thought he was the same draft year.
I think they played on the same
They grew up playing together. They're from the same area.
Yeah, they were on that same I think U18 team Canada.
Oh, maybe. But he also he has 1,974 followers, and he's only following 96. And I don't know, he tweets every once in a while. Oh, okay, here's what it is too. So he tweeted March 14th, and the time before that was March 1st. But that was in 2019. So it was a whole year before his second one, and it was just like a response to something. I don't know. But
it was great seeing it was great seeing him like show a little bit of personality. And it was just like another time I saw that, I was like, oh man, I feel so bad that he got rushed into this position, because he's gonna be such a cool, like, I think he's gonna be a cool coach. He's gonna be one of those guys that the players are gonna want to play for, but he just didn't have that experience.
I think that like he would probably do well with like a completely young team.
Yeah.
That like isn't just coming off of a Coach Q experience, like, and winning 3 cups within the last 10 years. It's like if he was coaching, I don't know, like Arizona or something.
Vancouver
would be a good one, actually.
Yeah.
Because of all their young guys. Like they don't have any like super like core like cup winner like older guys that are like his age. Like
they've got like a bunch of like older guys there, but like
yeah, but they have their future set.
And like Jay Beagle, like
yeah,
they don't want them there.
Their veteran defenseman is like Tyler Myers and like then like Alexander Edler and like
don't they have Jordy Ben too?
They do have Jordy Ben, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, like their older guys are not the ones that are commanding that team. It's literally Elias Pettersson, Brock Besser, Bo Horvat, and they're all like 25 and younger.
And Hughes.
Yeah, and Hughes is disgusting. He played 1 season so far. He looks insane.
Yeah,
but yeah, a team like that would be like great because like Colleton's only like 34, and so to them, he's like a fucking dad still. It's like
you're so old.
Yeah, old. Vancouver's oldest players are 34. And Edler, Jay Beagle, and Louis Eriksson.
Oh yeah, Louis Eriksson.
Yeah, but see, like that's what I'm saying. It's difficult when you have like Seabrook is 34, Keith is like 35, and like
and not only that,
like Taze and Kane are both like 30, 31, and so it's like you're all around the same age. Like it's hard to command those guys, especially since they've won so fucking much.
I was gonna say they're more accomplished than he ever was.
Yeah. But he's not like a terrible coach. Like
no, you're just wrong situation. I think anybody that was put in that position after Coach Q, they had no shot.
I mean, you really needed somebody with like a much better pedigree. Yeah, like somebody that like has coached like winning teams rather than like somebody that has no NHL experience.
I don't understand the whole thing around George Gallant,
Gerard.
Yeah,
Gerard Gallant.
Yeah, he's fucking like all of his players always say they love him. Like every fan base loves him. He does well, and then the manager's just like, "Fuck this dude. He's the worst coach ever.
Yeah,
we're gonna fire him in the worst possible way." Like
I don't understand.
I don't get it.
Let's replace him with Peter DeBoer.
Yeah.
So what?
Or like, hey, I know you're on the road, but like, I'm gonna text you and say we're letting you go. So go get a taxi and get out of town. Like what?
Yeah, that. I still don't understand Florida. That one makes zero sense at all.
Florida doesn't make any sense at all because they fired him and then they gave away Marchessault and Riley Smith to Vegas. They literally gave him Gallant, Marchessault, and Riley Smith. And it's just like, what are you doing?
He's like, yeah, okay, I can take those guys.
Yeah.
Honestly, if the new team president comes in and he cleans house and the new guy comes in and wants to bring in his own coach, I wouldn't hate him coming in.
Yeah.
No.
I think
that's typically what will probably happen though, you know, like if that's what is where we're going is you're going to get rid of the GM, they're going to bring in a new GM, that GM's going to want to bring in their own guy, like unless like you do like some sort of internal interview and Carlton like chats with him and maybe he's like, all right, you're still the guy to go forward with this.
Or they bring in a new head coach and put Carlton as an assistant.
Yeah, but would you like, I don't know, like, would you
I was going to
ask,
would he go, like, you know, Tanner, you love doing that NHL 20, your GM mode, you know,
yeah.
Demote guys. Do you think he would take that,
bro?
Maybe take that step back if it was like known that he'd be the guy in waiting that they like, hey, the last guy's fucked up. We believe in you, but you need to get that experience. Or do they keep him as the head coach and maybe bring somebody that is a great head coach caliber to be an assistant that maybe doesn't want to take on a full role?
Okay. I mean, yeah, if you find that guy that doesn't want to be the head coach but has head coach experience, I don't think that I mean, that's probably going to be pretty difficult to find. Be like,
well, not
but
really.
we want you to kind of coach our head coach, and we'll pay you less.
We got Mark Crawford already.
Well, I mean, also there's a lot of teams that are starting to get multiple like known head coaches. Like, look at Philly.
Yeah, Philly's got it.
3 head coaches. I mean, like, what about like a guy like Guy Boucher? Like, he was a good coach.
Mm-hmm.
He couldn't really make it as a head coach. I mean, what if you throw him as an assistant coach on the line?
That might not be a bad idea.
That's what we got, like Barry Trotz. You think our team is shitty at defense? Get Barry Trotz, and guess what? We'll be #1 defensive team in the fucking league next year.
Want to know how good he is at making players defense? Ovechkin won a Stanley Cup.
The only thing with Trotz though is that I think he would have been just too much of like it just would have been Quenneville 2.0. Like they're the same kind of style a little bit.
Oh,
you don't think so?
No, they're not even close. They're similar in some ways, but like on the ice, I feel like they're so different. But like in the locker room, they're very similar, and that's good though because like that's the aspect you liked about Q. Is just the on ice stuff was so consistent over 10 years. Like everybody caught and realized what he was doing. Like it's not, you can't change that kind of stuff. But like in the locker room, if the players are like, "We'll die for your coach," like fucking any day of the week.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank. Where is he at right now?
Islanders.
That's right. Fuck. Okay.
Yeah, they were a shitty defensive team, and then he came in, and they had Robin Lehner as well, but they went from like really shitty defense to #1 in the league.
Where's the first almost?
Yeah. No, they didn't. They won the Jennings Trophy.
Yeah. No, I meant like defensively, like they almost went from like worse, like they were almost at the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only downside of that though is that Barzal feels like he's getting handicapped with offensive a little bit, and that's like a whole rumor why he's going to sign an offer sheet.
Dude, if he sends an offer sheet, that'd be tight. I would love to see it.
I want one.
I want it so bad. Like what? We were promised there were going to be so many offer sheets last summer,
and then we got
bullshit.
One. Yeah.
God,
Aho in Montreal.
That was like almost like there was like, hey, this is what we're gonna offer him. You offer to him, we'll match it, just so he thinks like, oh, you got a good
collusion.
Deal. Yeah,
deal of a contract, man.
It was so stupid.
Whatever.
But yeah, so good to see Colleton. Hopefully, he gets a fair shake when things come back around. But
yeah,
another interesting little thing that got posted today, or yesterday when you're listening to this, Lazarus had a very interesting article posted on The Athletic. Again, we talked about when we had Scott Powers on. If you're not subscribed to The Athletic, do it.
It's worth it.
Amazing articles on there. Basically, he was talking to former GM Mike Smith. And I think the first time why I didn't read it right away is I thought it was something about Mike Smith, the goalie. And I'm just like, fuck that. Like,
oh, that's why you didn't read it. Yeah, I was really confused when I saw the headline too. And I was just like, what the fuck is this about? And then I started reading and I was like, oh, okay. This is actually pretty interesting.
So, Tanner, why don't you go into a little bit? Because,
it basically goes into how Mike Smith was as a GM and how, like, what was it, Bob Pulford was his boss and absolutely fucking hated him. And even though he was doing all this shit right, and he was kind of in the organization, and a lot of the guys that were around him were kind of more of like an old school, like boys club. Like they loved like the Canadian kids.
Daddy Wirtz, like
and like they just wanted it to be like a Canadian American hockey team, and that's what it was a lot in the 90s.
Except for Europeans, hated the Russians.
Yeah, except for like Detroit at that time, and they have the most amazing European players at that time. But he got shat on by Pulford, who took over as GM after him, for his picks of Duncan Keith and Dustin Byfuglien, and a lot of disagreement with all the stuff that he was saying, with all the players that he was drafting. And even though his drafts are literally Keith, Seabrook, Crawford, Byfuglien, Burish, like those big ones in 2002 and 2003, and he was mainly the architect behind all of that. And it was part of the article also talks about how Dale Talon is brought up a lot as being a big part of that. And he literally says in the article, it's like, yeah, Dale was a part of our team, but he had no say in any of the picks.
Yeah, he
And I
said
was
he told people that he was like, yeah, Dale likes to talk, just let him talk.
Yeah, just let him talk. And I was like, oh shit. And I mean, we all know like a lot of people believe that Dale Talon did like a lot of the stuff, but like it's not like he didn't have a hand in it because he was assistant GM from 2003 to 2005 and then took over the team before Bowman did. Also, Mike Smith was responsible for hiring Bowman.
Son of a bitch. Son of a bitch.
But it all kind of worked out, and it was really interesting to hear like if maybe he wasn't like he made good calls, he made good draft choices, but at the time like he was they were saying like it was so bad, like he's undersized, Bufflin's too fat, like they're like the worst draft picks in history are made by him, and it's Keith and Bufflin, and it's just like and then all of a sudden like 2010 comes around and he's nowhere to be found because like this organization has like shunned him because there was such a shitty fucking old boys club with Bill Wirtz at the helm. And then this team goes on and becomes absolutely amazing. And part of the article, which I thought was really cool, is the only other draft other than 2003 to have 3 All-Stars picked to one team was in 2010 with the Carolina Hurricanes. So that's never been done besides those 2. And that was literally his last draft that he did.
That's insane.
Seabrook, Crawford, and Bufflin were all taking that draft.
He was like the first GM. Obviously, like the analytics has changed since he's been around, but he was like the first GM to really like come in and say, "Hey, this is what you need to be looking at. You know, this parts of the game, not just your typical, you know, oh, he's from Canada, he's from USA kind of thing."
Yeah,
like,
he was embracing like the advanced stats like before everybody started getting more into it, and like that's what part of the reason he was. Yeah, that's part of the reason he was getting shunned by everybody in his organization is because they all still wanted to do it the old boys way, like old school, and just be like, that he's a 6'6" Canadian boy. Like, we can park him in front of that and he can fucking fight and defend himself. And then it's like he's already thinking about like the evolution of the game. He's getting guys that actually have skill. Except for he did pick Bufflin, and Bufflin fucking was a big boy. But then he mentions that like he got on the ice and Bufflin just did some shit, and everybody's like, "Oh fuck, he can play." And
he was talking about how they goes one of the rookie scrimmages. They're watching it, and the puck goes in the corner, and Buff just takes to the corner. And before he gets there, he looks over his shoulder to kind of see what's going on, and that's right there. He goes, "That's a player right there. He knows that he needs to be. He knows what's going to happen, and he's looking at." You know, the next step before he's even there kind of thing. And like that, he's like, that's why he's a player. That's why he's the guy. Yeah,
he mentions like after that, he curls out of the corner and snaps a pass like cross ice across the blue, like tape to tape. And they're like, oh shit. Like this guy can do it.
Yeah.
Tanner, I'm held up. Who were the 3 2010 All-Stars?
Oh, I don't know. It didn't mention. It just said that Carolina did it in 2010 as well.
Oh, let me see if I can find them.
I don't even know who they drafted in 2010.
I'm trying to think. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't even know.
I don't know. Like, I don't know if they're all on the team still. You know, like if they drafted 3 All-Stars, but then I don't know if they all played for Carolina because I don't remember Carolina having 3 All-Stars in a.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
In like a certain row. I don't.
Jeff Skinner, Eric Stahl, Cam Ward.
Was all 2010?
They were
not drafted.
No.
Like that.
Yeah, because
Cam
Ward was a rookie.
Oh well, that was the All-Stars there in 2011.
No. It's like they were all drafted the same year, and I'll look it up.
I'm looking. So Justin Falk, Jeff Skinner were the first 2 rounds. I'm looking to see for the third one.
Well, I mean, Jeff Skinner, was he in, let's see, 2010, Jeff Skinner, Justin Falk, and Frederick Anderson.
Yeah.
That's what it is. So they drafted 3 All-Stars in one draft year. I'm assuming, yeah, because I'm pretty sure Justin Falk's been doing an All-Star game. I'm pretty sure Jeff Skinner's been to one too.
Justin Falk's been in 3 in a row between 2015 and 2017.
Who else was Carolina going to put in then?
Yeah.
That's true.
2012, they had nothing.
They have a pretty large selection of all-stars right now, though. Like, who would you put in if you were Carolina? I would put fucking Svechnikov.
Aho.
Svechnikov.
Aho, Svechnikov, or Teravainen.
Yeah.
That's filth.
That's
a nasty team. Oh my god.
And then another cool, like not cool, it was an interesting thing. Who was the GM after him? You said
Pulford and then Talon. So Pulford took over, and then Talon was assistant GM, and then like he backed back out, and then had Talon take over completely.
So why this article might sound familiar to a lot of you is that the big takeaway, what post around everybody was going, is that before the 04-05 lockouts, Pulford was in talks with Philly to trade Keith.
Was it Pulford that was in talks with Philly? I thought it was
Smith. The guy. No, was it? No, it was after Smith. The guy after Smith.
I don't know.
And he was going to trade. He was going to trade Duncan Keith to Philly for Jeremy Roenick and Tony Amonte.
Yeah, I don't know.
As much as I would have loved to see Amonte in a Hawks jersey again, God, I'm so glad that didn't happen. The reason it didn't happen was the lockout happened. All trades were frozen. Keith went on to play in the AHL that year against the top prospects because you weren't playing AHL, so they were playing the A, and fucking tore it up.
Oh, that's right. So Pulford almost traded Keith because he fucking hated Keith as a draft pick. That's why.
Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, imagine how much like our history in the last 10 years would have changed with this team. Like,
can you imagine 2010 with Keith and Pronger on this, like, as your like top two defensemen in Philly?
Yeah.
Jesus. Do you think I don't know, do they win the fucking lottery at that point? Maybe they have Patrick Kane as well? Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like,
true.
Can you imagine that?
You take Roenick and Amonte, who were still kind of, I mean, their careers were falling at that point, but they're
both 34 years old.
Yeah, they're both NHL players. So do they pull a couple more wins out? They get out of a lottery or a good lottery spot, lose out Kane, lose out Taves.
Yeah.
Like, all because this guy didn't like Duncan Keith because he was too small.
Yeah, he also hated all the Euro players. So as soon as Smith was fired, they got rid of Zhamnov. Yeah. They fucking got rid of Karpatsev. It was just
Zhamnov was nasty.
Yeah, it was just hilarious. Ugh, I don't understand. I'm just so glad that like they didn't end up actually pulling the trigger on that trade because that would have been so dumb. Yeah. So
I think we all were kind of talking about this in the group text. I don't know if you said the same thing too, Noli. It was kind of like a surprise to us that Talon actually wasn't the mastermind between those first picks.
Yeah.
Like that blew my mind. Like, and Mike Smith was saying in the article that he claims Talon's always taking credit for that, all that. He's like, Talon wasn't even the organization. He was an announcer one draft year.
Yeah, the 2003 draft year, he wasn't actually part of it.
Lazarus texts Talon's like, I never take credit for those.
Yeah, no, it's everybody else gives Talon credit for it, yeah. and he's just like, that wasn't me. And so then I think Mike Smith also felt like Talon's been taking credit for it, and he's just like, no, I didn't do that.
I mean, when you look at the 2010 team, Talon did put pretty much that whole thing together, though.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, is he the one that signed the Keith?
He signed Campbell, he signed Hossa and Kopetsky. I mean, he drafted Kane. Like,
he gave Keith his contract though too, I'm assuming. Right. Which was an insane deal. It's less than $6 million over like 13 years. Like,
stupid.
Jesus.
Which is illegal now.
Yeah, right.
Illegal.
Oh man. But yeah, I mean, it's still like he wouldn't have had those players on his team if Smith didn't draft Seabrook, Keith, Bufflin, Crawford. Like, that's crazy.
What do you think, Nolan? Do you think like it's at this point now that it's kind of like a new regime in the Hawks that Smith should get some sort of recognition?
Bring him back.
For that?
Bring him back.
He's a farmer now. Just bring him back.
That's hilarious. I don't know.
He doesn't want to come back, actually.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, okay. He drafted, 17 years ago he was good at drafting. Who knows what he would do now with all the analytics? Like, you don't know. But also, he's been away from the game for how long? So.
Oh, no, I'm not talking about, bringing back to work. I mean,
no.
acknowledgement,
Yeah,
the
last shift. Like the last shift kind of thing.
Well, they gave talent
I mean, you didn't give a ring to Cam Barker. The guy was on the fucking team for how many years? Like, you don't give those guys rings. They were still a part of it.
Yeah, fair. So.
Cam Barker gave us Nick Leddy, so.
Yeah, which gave us a ring. So, I mean, technically, Cam Barker gave us a ring.
True.
Oh, yeah.
It was a really well-researched and written article that I really enjoyed reading and finding out about, because I was just like, oh, this is all news to me. Like, fucking cool.
Dale Talon's not this, beautiful mind, Matt Damon and Good Will Hunting, doing all these moves on the board. I
mean, later on.
Yeah. But, yeah, so definitely check that out. If you're, like I said, if you're not on The Athletic, get it. It's cheap. I think they might even still be doing some sort of free thing because of the corona pandemic and all that. Don't quote me on that. I don't know. Regardless, it's cheap. They're always doing deals. Yeah, check it out. Any other hot stock you guys that you guys think of?
I don't think there's anything going on,
No. All right. Well, NHL's slowly starting to get some news.
Yeah.
First thing that happened this week, the AHL officially canceled the remainder of their season in the Calder Cup playoffs.
So did the KHL.
Yeah, KHL did earlier. Yeah, once two teams said, "Yeah, we're not playing. We're done.
Yeah.
We quit."
Jesus. Yeah, that sucks.
So
shitty.
I mean, there was no way that the AHL could play. If hockey was back. AHL relies on people showing up to their games.
Yeah.
That's really how they get their money.
Do they?
I mean, they don't have crazy deals with
they don't
TV.
Have TV deals.
No, I know, but I'm saying not all of them do.
I don't know. Rockford fucking.
There's a
they
lot
packed
of them
that
that
place.
are in the OKC, Edmonton's, they got loyal fans because there's no other fucking team out there.
Yeah.
Minnesota Wild, they have the Iowa Wild. I'm sure they have a packed barn too, and Rockford, but the Wolves, no, they don't.
Yeah.
Packed.
Unless you live out by Allstate Arena and have season tickets.
So they said it was definitely there was just no way that they were gonna ever make money and then still pay their guys. So it was just nah.
Just call it.
Brandon Leipzig got canceled too. Talking about things that got canceled.
Yeah. So talking to a friend of the show, Rossi, who is in good friends with Lindsay from the Chicago PR guy from the Chicago Wolves that we had on the show as well. They are saying that there is some possible concerns about even starting up next year as well.
That's crazy to me.
There's under 80 AHL contracts, contracts have signed just to the AHL right now, and a lot of guys that would potentially sign AHL deals are heading overseas because it looks like hockey's gonna be played over there.
Yeah, just the uncertainty that's going on in the United States with all the pro sports, and then you get a lot more lax rules with governments overseas, and they're yeah, go fucking play hockey, man.
Oh, that's true. Sorry. So there's that, and then that called for a lot of people were calling for okay, so that means NHL is going to be next. NHL's got to call it kind of thing. Which, first off, no, they don't go hand in hand. But so Gary Bettman was part of a virtual town hall that was hosted by the Sharks on Tuesday, I believe, and he basically said that I believe that if the right time comes and the right circumstance, based on all the options that we are considering and our ability to execute them, we will get the season done. He goes, canceling the season is just too easy of a solution. That means you stop working hard to do all the things that we're doing, and I ultimately believe that there will be an opportunity.
I like that, though. I like that, with the way he puts it. It's it could be just done, and we could just say okay, this one's over, or you can actually like work towards like trying to get it going because there's a lot of people out there that would love to have it back.
Like, at what point though? Like, how long do you drag out potentially finishing this season? Like, is it gonna end up like okay?
I don't think he's talking about like finishing like the regular season.
No, but I mean like awarding the cup. Like, at what point do you say it's not realistic?
I mean, until you get into like September, then it's like, okay, well, we got to focus on when next season's going to start. Like, once you start getting closer to the next season actually starting, and like you can't push back next season any further than what they said December that like they could push it back to or something. Like
they have to somehow plan out like an off season, and like there needs to be free agent signing day and like. Like where teams, like the contracts are just up, like at some point you got to call it. You can't just be like, oh, we're still checking.
A lot of GMs have been telling their players, like, take this time to relax because this might be your off season.
Oh, Jesus.
That's kind of fucked.
Yeah.
Like, I know this might be a stupid question, but like all NHL contracts expire end of June, right?
July 1.
July 1st. So what?
No, it's ended June. It's like
so
it's like the draft day,
or something,
like draft day or something.
So, am I taking like looking too much into it? Like, how does that affect?
I'm sure it would. I'm sure it would be like
an extension type thing.
I don't think it's a date. I think it's just
completion.
Like a season. It's a season, like if the season's still going.
Date
on your contract.
Yeah, I'm sure it's like just because of the rules of the NHL. Like obviously, like if your contract's up and like they start the season again in like September and they just do like a round robin type thing for a playoff, like you're not gonna be able to go sign a guy that was a free agent. Like say there was a guy in the Leafs that became a free agent and like Carolina picks him up. Like
like Taylor Hall just all of a sudden like joins like the Capitals for like a fucking playoff run.
Right, for like $50,000. Like no, that's not gonna happen. Like the NHL will not let that happen.
That'd be hilarious. Also, if you that would be absolutely hilarious.
If you get signed now, like they wouldn't be able to play in the playoffs anyways because they had to be on the team before.
Right. Yeah. No, I was just saying in general too. Like I don't know if there's like some like legal thing there by like.
I'm sure it's like
anything else here.
Well, I'm sure it's like anything else where it's like this is unforeseen circumstances, so it would just get extended out anyway.
Well, you kind of brought it up, Noli, like how it sounds like they're not looking towards finishing the regular season, but jumping right to the playoffs. The 24-team playoff situation is kind of getting steam. 23 and an extra team there.
Blackhawks are the 24th team.
Are they? No,
they're the 23rd.
Are they?
Yeah, they're 23.
No shit.
I think the Coyotes would be 24th.
I thought it was Montreal.
Maybe.
So basically, it would be the 24 teams. Whenever they decide to do the season, there would be a 2-week like mini training camp for the 24 teams to get back in shape and get going. The first couple rounds, what is it like? Best of 3.
Oh, I didn't get to see too much detail about it.
What I saw was like the top like 8 teams in each conference are just in, and then like the next couple teams out, it would be like a 3-game round robin to see who would be the next 2 to make it in or something. I don't even know. Like I don't remember. It was really confusing when I was reading it. I'm not good at reading anyway.
It's like, what are you talking about? I mean, I haven't looked into it just because like there's all these like different kind of proposed playoff formats that they've been doing. So I'm like, all right, I'll just wait until they figure out what they're going to be doing. But I mean, 24 teams, like an extended kind of playoffs, that'd be fucking cool, especially if you're not gonna be able to finish the regular season. But then at that point, how do you do the draft lottery? Do you still stick it to like the teams that are out of the playoffs then?
Well, they want to do the new update is that the rumor is mid-June draft. So the draft's going to happen before this is even.
Yeah, but like if that's like if you're proposing 2014 playoffs, it's like, all right, cool. So let's say they're going with that idea, then you can just do the lottery for the 7 teams that are out. And then that would make sense.
If they stuck with their like normal lottery, like even though you're in the playoffs, but you still have a lottery pick, and that team ends up winning the cup, and then they end up like winning the lottery.
I don't think they would let that.
No, that's not going to happen because what they said, like they already kind of broke it down. If they do like the June, like
Draft.
it's old, like the lockout style, when the Penguins got Crosby, so it's pretty set. Like the order is pretty much set as what it looks like. Like Detroit's gonna have first. Like
Ottawa's gonna be second and third.
Yeah, but
Ottawa's gonna be. It's so
oh
great.
shit, no,
I
the
love
Hawks. The Hawks would be 24.
Oh really?
Nailed it.
No,
Why?
no, never mind. They're the last team in the West, but Montreal would be the last team.
So I was right.
The 1 point, yeah, Tanner's right.
Yeah, nailed it.
So, but there was also talks that it wouldn't be the top 12 in each conference. It might be the top 6 of each division.
Oh, so like we would be out.
Yeah.
Okay, well, give me a lottery then. Give me a lottery spot. Fucking draft pick then.
I don't like that. It should be just 12 of the top conference.
Yeah.
Well,
Like, why should Anaheim get rewarded for fucking
that's what
being?
I'm saying. There was no way Anaheim was going to make the playoffs. The Hawks had somewhat of a shot.
Yeah.
Anaheim
Hawks
and
weren't going to
Buffalo.
do it, but like they had a shot.
Anaheim and Buffalo would end up being in the playoffs for that situation.
Instead of the Blackhawks and who? Like Montreal, or is it somebody else?
Blackhawks and the
It'd have to
Rangers.
be like
And the Rangers would be out?
Yeah.
the Rangers
that.
are 2
Are you
points out of
kidding
the
me?
playoff spot right now, and Buffalo has 68 points.
That would be fucking terrible.
The Rangers
would be,
have 11 more points than the Sabres right now.
that's insane.
That would
Well, I
be
mean, like,
so
look,
dumb.
that's the other thing, too. Like, we have more points than Anaheim, and Rangers have more points than Buffalo. So what's
It
the
would
fucking
be-
point of, like, giving them playoff spots for being shit?
That'd be
Right.
like fucking basketball where they like have all these like under 500 teams making the fucking playoffs.
You fucking know what? You get Rangers out of the playoffs. You get us out of the playoffs. Throw us in the lottery. We'll take 1 and 2. Fuck you guys. I don't really care if we get 1 or like if the Rangers got 1, that'd be amazing. Lafreniere and Panarin on the, like just on your left wing.
But then
No.
everybody's going to say it's all collusion, that the NHL just helps the Rangers and the Blackhawks out, like everybody always says.
Yeah, they helped us out a lot by not giving us a playoff spot. Fuck off.
Yeah. But you got first overall.
Buffalo got
Might have done
swept.
playoffs, but now you're going to make it the next 6 years.
Buffalo and Anaheim both get swept. Have a combined 40 goals against. Like, fuck.
That's the thing. Like for us, it'd be awesome if like they did this and like the Hawks made it in and like made a run, or like Montreal, like one of those teams.
Yeah.
But if you're like a Lightning or like a Bruins fan, like you're pissed. Like I mean, essentially, yeah, you should be able to beat those teams. But in the playoffs, anything can fucking happen. Everybody knows that, especially if it's just a 3-round fucking series. Are you kidding me?
Mhm.
All you have to do is win 2 games. Fuck.
That'd be great.
Does
Can you imagine if Boston ended up playing Montreal and Montreal like just took them out in 2 games?
oh my god, that'd be amazing.
Could you imagine? That'd be fucking
I
nuts.
would
Harry
love
Price
it.
could fucking easily do that.
They
Yeah,
couldn't
Carey
beat
Price could
Detroit,
easily
but
do
they'll
that.
take out the
100%
Bruins.
he could do that.
Oh yeah, they Bruins can't even beat Detroit. That's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Montreal.
Neither can
lost.
Montreal. It's
Yeah,
the
they
battle
lost.
of the fucking Detroit win.
I would love it. I would honestly like. I think that would be such an exciting playoffs because I mean, you know, injuries can happen, but it's the fact that it's playoffs and NHL playoffs have always been the only ones that have been like, oh yeah, they were like last place, but yeah, they fucking won it. like it's anything can happen, and that's the best part.
Here's my question: is that kind of like a 2-part or 3-parter here? Does this Stanley Cup mean less if it gets awarded this year, regardless, without knowing how they're doing it? No matter what, is this Stanley Cup tainted at all?
I mean, 2013 wasn't.
Yeah, the only reason I can see like it being like, oh, that was the year that this happened is because like everybody's going to be going into playoffs basically fully rested.
So then here's another question: is it tainted if one of those bottom 8 teams somehow win it? So like
I think it's kind of cool because that's just going to be like a fun fact of
the
only time the team has won the cup without being in the top 16 is in the 2019-2020 season when the coronavirus pushed the season back and made the playoffs a fucking weird.
Hey, Boston, like top guys, you're gonna be that good all year, and you're gonna lose to a team that shouldn't have technically even been in the playoffs. Hey, Tampa. Like, be better. Like, that's all you have to say is just be better.
Yeah, be better.
Like, it's tainted. They shouldn't have been in the playoffs. Okay, well, you fucking won the President's Trophy and you couldn't fucking beat them. Like,
yeah, you should have won.
Dude,
what are you mad about? You should have won. You had an easier route to the Stanley Cup, and you
literally
lost.
just didn't show up.
Yeah,
the Blackhawks in a playoff situation, big time games.
Give it to me.
God,
you get that Kaner, that playoff Kaner.
God,
Crawford too. Crawford was looking good at the end of the year. He could steal a lot of games.
Hey, Nylander was looking good too.
Yeah. Well.
I mean,
he was so good at the end that they canceled or they paused the whole season because it was just not fair.
Seabrook just comes back.
And Dehan.
Yeah.
I don't think Steve comes back.
I don't know. That'd be crazy though. He like fucking puts all the pads on and he's like, put me in, coach. and Collison's just like, Siebes, you don't have hips or knees. And he's just like, I don't care. I won cups.
Like behind the scenes and like they're like all getting ready and he's just like you see Seabrook like in half of his gear he still has like 2 slings on but he's like got his chest protector on. He's got like crutches.
It's like Dark Knight Rises when Christian Bale puts on the thing to help like build his knee back up and it like tightens up so his ligaments able to walk again. Yeah. Like that's just gonna be Siebes all over.
I was just gonna point out it's probably like Adam Banks in Mighty Ducks and he just holds the stick out and he just fucking turns it and he's like he can play.
The pain was gone.
Oh my god, that'd be so fucking funny. They'd be like, Seabrook, it's not your fucking wrist, it's your legs. He's just like, I could turn the stick, it's cool. Like they did it, like Adam Banks did it. They let him play.
Oh Jesus, those are such bad movies. Oh my god.
The best. Oh, I love it. But yeah, fucking feed me some playoffs. I don't care.
Hopefully in the next week or so we should have a clearer picture because they're gonna have to make a call on the draft, and I think that's once the draft is made, things are gonna fall in place because I can't see them making one decision without having the other figured out.
Yeah, I just wanted to.
I definitely can.
I have so much time. I have so much time to watch every playoff game, and I just want it to happen.
What were you saying, Ollie?
I could see them just doing the draft, not giving a fuck because that's what they usually do. They just do things.
That's true.
Well, the fans would like. I don't give a shit what they want.
I'm tired. Like, I just want an answer. Like, I know that's like such a bullshit thing to say, but it's like the worst part about is there going to be hockey, is there not going to be hockey is the fact that there's now like real major updates. Everything that's coming out, it's like hearsay and like, oh, allegedly this and allegedly that. And like, that's the most frustrating thing about it. Hopefully they come out with a little bit more of a clear picture about what they want to do or what they're thinking about doing. And
yeah, like a timeline, like I said before, a timeline would be great. If we're allowed to play at this point, like this is how we'll proceed. If we're allowed to play at a later date, this is how we'll proceed then. Like a plan of like, I mean, we just released phases on how we're going to reopen Chicago recently. It's like, well, let's fucking get some phases going for the NHL. Like,
yeah,
phase 1. Bring it back.
So, I don't know. Well, we'll just have to continue to wait and see. I think with all that being said, we should wrap it up, toss it over to Steve.
Yeah, kick it to the interview.
Yeah, he's a big Hawks guy too. You don't know if you guys know that.
Loves the team.
Yeah, so so we will wrap up with the interview. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks for tuning in for 100 episodes. It's really
what's it called?
The Centennial.
Oh, okay.
We'll call it the Centennial.
Centennial Dangle.
Yeah, the Centennial Dangle. So as always, give us a subscribe on iTunes Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Give us a rating on Apple Podcasts. I finally figured out how to find our rankings, so start giving us ratings so we go up in the rankings.
That'd be cool.
Follow us on Instagram. We've been having some fun on there. I think it's been getting a little bit better, a little bit more interaction on there too. And as always, enjoy, and we'll see you on the next one.
Yeah, I love you, boys.
All right, so today we are joined by a very special guest. He is the man behind the Leafs fan reaction videos on YouTube. He is the host of the Steve Dangle podcast, and he is the author of This Team Has Ruined My Life, But I Love Them. Please welcome to the show, Steve Dangle.
Hi. Hey, great. As great as he can be.
Yeah.
Right? I'm feeling I'm all right. It's a weird time. I'm not talking about any new hockey games, which is a bummer when you talk about hockey for a living, but I'm also probably busier than I was when there were games. So it's a weird time, but I'm happy and my dogs are well walked.
So what made you fall in love with the Leafs?
We tried to trace that when I wrote the book. Sorry, I got chocolate chip cookie all over my face. We tried to retrace that when I wrote the book. And really all I remember is, one day I asked my dad, I go, "Who's our team?" And he goes, "The Leafs." And that was basically it. I grew up in Scarborough, Ontario. I can't remember where you guys are from. I think Chicago or
Yeah, Chicago.
Chicago area.
Chicago. So Scarborough wasn't part of Toronto yet. In 1999, it amalgamated with a bunch of other places, and they made the super city, which is what they called it. So even though we weren't technically from Toronto, we were from right beside Toronto. So that was our team. But I remember the Leafs run in 93. I had just turned 5, and I remember being conflicted because to me the Leafs were the best team in the world. But I knew they were going up against Wayne Gretzky, who is the best player in the world. And so I thought, well, how's that going to work? My 5-year-old brain was malfunctioning. But that's like one of the first hockey memories I have, which means I've loved hockey and the Leafs since before I can remember.
Well, I was just saying, so you learned at a young age what it was going to be like to be a Leafs fan.
Pretty much. The first game I ever went to was February 5th, 1994. It was Don Cherry's 60th birthday, and my future wife, I didn't know at the time, obviously I was only 6. It was her 6th birthday, and the Leafs lost. So that was a pretty good jumping off point for my Leaf fandom. They lost 4-3 to the Detroit Red Wings. Leafs were down 3-1. They made an almighty comeback and then gave up a shorthanded goal to Sergei Fedorov.
Oh, God, Sergei. What a killer.
I know. He was unreal. He was so good.
Growing up a Leafs fan, did you know that you always wanted to get into like sports media, or is that something that just kind of evolved as you like grew up watching the Leafs?
That evolved. Man, I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. I was always very talkative child and yappy. I thought I wanted to do something in news. I was one of those. I would not be friends with early high school me. I thought I was really smart and like in tune with the world, man, and like world events. So I wanted to be a newsman, but like really I didn't know anything about anything. So I honestly thought I'd like be like a news anchor or something like that. And like, I don't know, knowing what you know about my YouTube channel, like, can you friggin' imagine? Me talking about like gas prices or something like that, and just in a calm manner. No,
how intense it could be.
Oh yeah, 90 cents. What? Like I just got it. Well, that's per liter. I gotta translate. I don't know what it is, but yeah,
That's all right.
I wanted to do sports media, but like I never played hockey growing up, so I didn't think that was realistic, and like I didn't pursue it in school really. I got into radio and television arts, which was the program at Ryerson University that I took, but never with the plan of getting into sports. It wasn't until I started my YouTube channel in my second year of university that I was like, oh, okay, maybe, who knows, maybe. And even then, like talking about hockey and just talking about hockey wasn't my full-time gig until 2015. And I started my YouTube channel in 2007. So it took like 8 years. What
really like drove you to like get that YouTube channel started? I mean, obviously it was a great idea and a great investment of your time, but like what was kind of like the process of wanting to do that?
Thank you. It was It was sort of a self-appointed internship. So I was amazed I got into the program that I did. My marks weren't fantastic. I had like a 82 average, which was like 2% above the minimum average needed to get into the program. And I didn't have a very robust portfolio of anything I could show. I did the morning announcements. I wrote for the school paper. And it was garbage. It was all garbage. Like, going back and reading it, I would never even have given me an interview for the program. I ended up getting one, and I ended up getting in. But first day of school, everyone's had an internship of some sort. And I've been a cameraman at this local station or this at this place. And they get to me, and I'm like, I did the morning announcements, and like there's older students in there who are like 25, and they're sitting next to a literal child, basically. and it was embarrassing. So second year of university, the front page of one of the Toronto papers, tabloids, I should say, Leafs lost the first game of the season, and they said, Leafs, better luck next year. And that pissed me off. So I made a 16-second video basically saying, screw that newspaper. And then they won their second game, I think. And I made another like 45-second video, and no one is seeing this. No one. Like, I'm putting the link in my MSN status, like showing my friends for them to laugh at. And then I made a video for the third game of the season, drunk. And I, in that moment, decided I'm going to make a video after every game, like just to sort of see if I can do it, and I'll learn some things along the way, and I'm probably going to suck, but that's fine. That's how I'll learn. And I missed maybe 2 or 3 games that season, and I think I've missed 6 or 7 games over 13 years now.
Jesus.
So, I mean, you
That's
haven't missed that
impressive.
many games.
No.
But I think the big question is, are you going to release just Hat Guy video?
Oh, God. I really don't want to. Maybe I'll do it just because it's quarantine. But yeah, people keep asking for the Hat Guy only video, and I'm like, man, people have been on the fritz about Hat Guy since I introduced him over a decade ago. Like, I don't know. To give him his own video, it's not going to be very long.
I was gonna say, at what point during the LFRs did you realize that you had something special, where you were like creating pretty much a nice following, and you felt like this is something I can keep doing, and it'll be a really good thing?
Yeah, this is the trap, right? So YouTube is the thing now, and it's what kids want to be. They want to be Twitch streamers, and they want to be YouTubers. If you go into any elementary school, it's not, I want to be Brad Pitt or Leonardo DiCaprio, or I want to be this movie star anymore. It's none of that. Maybe you want to be in the 46th Avengers, but I made it in my head a million times. So I got on like the YouTube Canada featured page, which was a thing back then, sort of before trending. And I was like, oh, I made it. And I gained like 250 subscribers, which brought me to like 255. And, I was like, oh, I'm going to forget all my friends. I'm going to forget everybody. I'm famous now. It didn't really work like that. And then Nike contacted me, and I went to the 2010 Olympics a couple years in, and I go, oh, I made it. And I got an internship at Leafs TV. It was the Leafs TV network. Oh, I made it. And then I got, let go from Nike, and I got let go from Leafs TV. And then I started to work at CBC, the Canadian Broadcast Corporation. And I'm like, oh, I made it. Then I got laid off from there. And, it's made it is relative. It's relative to your expectations. So I made it over and over again by achieving my goals. And then what they don't tell you about making it is you can lose made it. And I lost made it a bunch of times. So made it is a trap. Don't fall into made it. Just make good stuff and try to make people happy with the stuff you make.
So you also, from the YouTube, you turned to the podcast world. Was there any concerns about making that transition to the podcast, or were you kind of like set, like, you know what, I got this following on YouTube, you know, I'm confident that it'll translate over, and that make that easier for you to make that transition?
Well, I knew I had an unfair advantage, right? Like the guys were Adam and at the time producer Chris, now it's producer Jesse. They didn't think anyone would listen to the first episode, and I'm like, well, I bloody hope they do. Like I got a few thousand, you know, followers on Twitter and YouTube. Like we'll get some. It's whether or not they like it, right? So we upload the first episode, it gets like 1,000 listens, and they both crap themselves. And I'm like, oh well, welcome to the show. You know, it's fun. And you know, we struggled with it. I remember thinking like, I got like 10 episodes worth of material in me. Like I couldn't possibly come up with, you know, if we're doing hour-long episodes each, I couldn't come up with 10 hours of hockey things to say. And it turns out I could, and because hockey changes, and you know, things change and news comes out, and I'm learning more about old stuff, and I'm learning how to be better with a microphone. So I am surprised it's gotten to the level of success that it has. You know, at no point did I think Michael Bublé would be saying he watches my stuff, which is a silly thing that happened this week. But it's been pretty cool. Yeah, Michael,
or even one of the guys from
friend.
Too Hot to Handle, apparently too.
Bryce, yeah. So that was, I mean, Jesse paid for that. He paid for a cameo. Bryce from Too Hot to Handle basically called me a pigeon. But he's like, oh yeah, my NHL friends are like, Steve Dangle, who the hell's that? And then people started tagging me in his Instagram, and they're like, yo, he actually has NHL friends. And it turns out he's friends with Brendan Lemieux with the Rangers and the Jets. So, who knows? Maybe he Googled me and was like, this guy sucks.
Jesus.
Well, I mean, going from like podcasts, and obviously you had the book come out, how difficult was it, like writing a book about yourself and just getting all that together?
Writing a book is so hard. My agent has reached out a couple times to get me to write another one, and I just like, it's just, man, it was hard. It was really hard. If I write another book, it won't be as long as this one. I mean, obviously, people have been asking for it. This team is ruining my life too, and I'm like, man, let me live life. Like, the first one is about like the first 29, 30 years of my life. I'm 32 now. What do you think is going to be in the book? From 30 to 32, I have
another year in a whole book.
I have not lived a book's worth of life in 2 years. Like, chill. But no, that was really difficult. But it was a neat little exercise that you can all do, and you don't need to go to as much work as I did. You don't got to write the whole 300+ page book, but it was a really neat exercise in putting your life in chronological order, putting all the events that are significant to you and sort of piecing them together. And you know, I love my parents and respect them, but I gained even more respect for them over the course of writing it, and just everything they went through with me and my sister growing up. And I realized how often, as a younger person, I thought I was right and people were being unfair to me, and how often those people were correct and I was wrong and stupid. So it was, and also just that I've lived a fun little life, you know. So you know, if you try that little exercise of putting your life down on paper in chronological order, you know, maybe take an hour over a few nights, it's kind of fun.
Let's say they start making a movie after the book. Who's gonna play you in the movie?
Well, according to Twitter, every white actor with brown hair. So it could be, I don't know. Bradley Cooper was the most complimentary one I got. I've also gotten Russell Crowe and Mel Gibson. I hope not. Hopefully with fewer arrests. And
how about Charlie Kelly?
Who's gonna play me? Oh, well, the one. Well, yeah, Charlie Day. Like we're not the
Charlie
same
Day.
body type, but like if I think if they maybe get Charlie Day to voice over Seth Rogen as a body double, we got it. We got the movie.
There you go.
Not too bad.
So yeah, have you been able to kind of like, just take a step back? You mentioned, you're only 32. Have you been able to like take a step back and really appreciate everything that you've already accomplished and all the experiences that you've had at this point at such an early age in your life?
No.
There we go.
Yeah, no, like it's like I said, you don't want to get caught up in the trap of I made it. You don't want to get complacent, because that's not how you make good stuff, and that's not how you continue to make it. And also, it's a little, when you do this, and for as long as I have, I find it's best not to think about it too hard, because if you start thinking about, I got like 150,000 Twitter followers. If you start thinking about it too hard, you'll never tweet again, which is probably for the best. But like, if you try to picture 150,000 people, I would never get up on stage and talk in front of 150,000 people. That's psychotic.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
what? And like, my videos before the season ended were getting 40 to 50,000 views a game. What? Like, I would crap my pants. And like live TV I've had to do a few times. If I don't think about it at all, it goes a lot easier. If I think about it, my heart beats out of my chest. So I've paid enough attention to it to know that I'm blessed, and I've had a very good time.
Quick question then. Let's say the Leafs win the cup, they do a parade, they want you on stage as well to just like announce the players or something like that. You think you'll be able to do it?
Oh, buddy. Okay, first of all, I'm going to be, depending on the time of the morning, I'm going to be at least 3 or 4 deep. And it's not going to, I'll be Bruce Buffer. I press mute. Simon! I'm going to pick Zach Hyman up, and I'm going to hug it. I'm going to pick Freddie Gauthier up. I'm going to only pick up the heaviest players. I'm going to throw my back out, but I'm not going to feel it till the next day. Yes, I would do that.
Would you accidentally call out James Reimer?
Yes, but on purpose.
All right. So this might be the last question, but I feel like I had to get it in. So we all know it's kind of Marc-Andre Fleury's fault that Babcock got fired. So do you think it's the Leafs losing to a 40-year-old Zamboni driver who works for them on why the NHL is shut down right now?
42.
42. Oh, sorry. I gotta get it right.
2-year-old Zamboni driver who works for them, which a lot of people were quick to point out. Actually, he doesn't work for the Leafs. He works for their minor league affiliate. And I'm like, that's worse. What are you talking about? And it was either the night it happened or the day after it happened. The video I did of going friggin' bananas is going viral. And I guess my cousin saw it. Someone sent him. I know a video is going viral when people start sending the videos to my family members, which I think happened. And my cousin had to inform me that he actually plays Friday night beer league hockey with David Ayres, the 42-year-old Zamboni driver, because my cousin is nearly 42 years old. So that was fun. That was a great moment. Man, the season ending, or
Pause.
Who knows? It might be resuming very soon with just the Coyotes, according to the news.
It's the NHL collusion.
It's something. It's very confusing. But man, that was so surreal. I was at Sportsnet shooting a video. When we started shooting the video, the news dropped about Rudy Gobert. By the time we had finished shooting the video, they had canceled the Utah Jazz game that night. By the time I got home, they had canceled the NBA season, and the next day they canceled the NHL on my birthday. My wife got me Maple Leaf cookies, and I'm like, happy birthday to you.
Hey, you know what? Man. If there's no season, at least the Leafs can't lose to the Bruins again.
You're right. They could.
Look positively.
Also, like, everything that the Blues went through their first few years and how long it took them to win the cup, give them some extra time with it. Some extra time. As a Toronto fan,
they don't deserve it.
No. That's as a Toronto fan, it's actually great because I think the Yankees screwed it up, but the Blue Jays for a while were the last team to defend a championship twice because they won the World Series, they won it again, and then the season got canceled in '94, so the Blue Jays were still reigning world champions. And they, well, you know, nothing quite has gone right since, but
that's a tough sell for Chicago fans over here. So, but you know what? So I got to throw this one out to you real quick, and then we'll end it. So on the podcast, you and Adam love to talk about how, you know, the NHL loves helping out Chicago. And there seems to be some a little, I won't say hatred, you know, towards Chicago. Come on,
it's jealousy.
Yeah, you got to love Chicago, right? You got to love.
No, you don't have to love anything. No, I mean, it's like cheering for Goliath. Like that's no fun. Chicago is going through a little bit of what Detroit's going through right now. And Chicago wasn't even that bad by the end of the season. But, you know, you do so well for so long that when you finally fall, there is a little bit of ha-ha. But my beef with Chicago has nothing to do with that or the fact that every single time they need to retool the team, they just call the Leafs and fleece them. It's more to do with, like, if we're having a conversation about how to make the NHL some money, it starts with putting the Chicago Blackhawks in an outdoor game. And I'm like, you know, there's other teams. There are other teams. But all the NHL is saying year after year after year is no one cares. No one cares. Like, all the NHL is saying is they're a 31-team, 7-team league. Like, yeah. You know what I mean? Like, there are 31 teams who are eligible for the Stanley Cup and 6 or 7 teams eligible of anyone caring about. And congrats, Chicago's one of them, and that's great. Who are the biggest teams in the NHL? There's the Chicago Blackhawks.
It's the original 6, basically.
There's the Leafs. There's the not Leafs. People, like, in terms of fan bases, people love the Chicago Blackhawks. They love the Leafs and hate the Leafs.
Yeah.
There could also be the not Blackhawks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At this point, yeah.
The Penguins.
The Penguins but not like Crosby.
Yeah.
Crosby is a team.
Anti-Marchands, I think is a good fan base too.
The anti-Marchands and like the Sabres. Like that's the NHL. We just named the NHL.
Is it just Buffalo? Buffalo just loves everybody, but like
except for their own.
They'll watch every game if they could. They're like number 1 in like viewership like all the time, even though there's like nobody that lives there.
I don't get it. They're everything about them has sucked for so long. They finally get some snazzy jerseys. They suck. Like I just
got the wrong names on the back.
That is, how do you mess that up? How do you mess that up? Anyone who's ever organized like a bachelor party has not made that mistake. And the Buffalo Sabres made that mistake. Like legends for their team. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Oh,
well,
fantastic.
To be fair, I think all Chicago fans are sick of Hawks outdoor games too every single year. We were just so happy that we didn't have the Winter Classic again this year.
Weren't they like 1-7?
We're not good at it. Terrible. We're not good at it. It's okay.
Patrick Kane doesn't have a single point in any outdoor game.
You're joking. He doesn't have a single.
He doesn't have a point in any outdoor game.
What
that's how we feel.
Like, just what is so hard about a Penguins Oilers outdoor game and put it anywhere. Who cares?
Give me
Put it
that.
absolutely
Give me
anywhere.
that.
Who cares? I know
give
it's
me
the
that.
Oilers, but like
It's McDavid.
it's McDavid. Like, you're trying to sell the game. Stop going for the biggest markets. It's your number 4. Or like you guys, you're Americans. You can tell me. Hockey's probably not even number 4. If
No,
we're trying
hockey's
to
4.
grow. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's 4.
Hockey's
Yeah.
4.
Golf is
Wow.
up there.
Yeah.
So like, still got a ways to go to get on the podium.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
True.
if you're trying to grow the game, who are your 2 best players? Sidney Crosby, Connor McDavid. Get them on national TV playing against each other.
Yeah.
If it's
Yeah.
artificial anyway, do it. Do it that way.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's my
Well,
opinion.
Steve, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. You know, we're all big fans of you. So it's been a real honor talking with you. Definitely everybody check out you gotta be living under a rock if you don't know who Steve is or what his shows are. So definitely check him out on YouTube, check his podcast out, follow him on Twitter and all that good stuff. Steve, again, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I got 3 videos about the Blackhawks winning the cup, so go check those out. Or three videos about the Blackhawks getting a 5-0 lead on the Leafs, and then the Leafs come back to almost win, but they don't.
Those are good. Those are good ones.
Those are fun.
Let me hear
never mind.
it.
That was. We could keep going for hours. We could keep. Austin Matthews' 2 most legendary celebrations they were ruined, and that was one of them. Because whatever. The Leafs won that game in overtime.
Yeah, they did.
7-6.
Yeah, it's okay.
There,
It's all right.
fine.
Anyway, all right, bye.
All right, thanks, Steve. Appreciate it.